Hi escapees, escape with me to Jordan. I enjoyed Jordan immensely, and I'll tell you, if you like hummus, you'll like Jordan. We had hummus for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but it was probably the best hummus I ever had, and the olive oil there is phenomenal, and they just pour it right on that hummus. It's really good. But you do eat a lot of hummus. I came home saying, I'm not eating hummus for a month. But it was, that's what you go there for, right? To learn about the food and the culture and what people do. And it was a blast. Jordan itself, we were in Amman and we were staying right near the old section. So we wandered into the old town, and in there are just lots of shops. It's kind of like, you know, it's pretty old and all the shops are kind of open air-ish. What was really interesting is you'd walk along the street and there'd be like all these men's shops. So you'd have men's shoes, then men's ties, then men's shirts, then men's pants. So the guy would just have to go down the street and go, okay, I'm gonna get my shoes and I'm gonna get my this and I'll get my that. And then the next block is all women. There's, you know, handbags and shoes and beautiful robes, gorgeous things, hair, you know, whatever, all in a row. Then there's housewares, then there's food. So it's like a mall almost, the way it's set up, which was really kind of interesting. And it made it interesting to see like where people were shopping too, because, you know, when you walk through the men's area, there's like all men. And when you go to the women's, there's all women. So it was kind of interesting. They also had fabulous spice shops, spice and tea. Those were fun, really interesting to go in. And we walked down the open air markets with all the fruits and vegetables. So we enjoyed it. It was a really nice experience to go in the old town and hang out. What was really fun there is on our first night, our guide said, do you want to go out to dinner like, you know, or Jordanian? We said, yeah, of course. So he takes us to this place, and where there was about 10 of us, 10 or 11 of us. We're all sat on this big table, and we're just sitting there in plastic chairs. It was outside. And they bring out a big giant roll of plastic, clear plastic, and they roll it down the table. And so, you know, we're like, okay, tablecloth, I guess. And there's no utensils or anything. And then they come out, and in front of each person, they put like a plate-sized pita bread. So each person, they just put them out, plate-sized pita bread. And then they brought out big bowls of hummus with all the oil, and big bowls of roasted vegetables, and you know, eggplant, and everything. I mean, all kinds of different things. And basically what you do is you just sit there, rip off your pita, stick it in the dips, and start eating. So what a way to get to know your fellow, you know, travelers if you've never met them before, because you are now all jamming your same pita breads into this food. But that's what they do, and it was fabulous. I mean, the food was just amazing. And then at the end, they came around to collect our money for the bill, and it was like $3 for this entire dinner. So that was fun. That was a real experience, and typical of Jordan, as we learned as we went along. There's some ruins you can go to in Amman, which we went to on our own, and then we started to head toward Petra. Petra was the highlight of this trip. So we did other things on the way there, but you know, we started heading in that direction. So we went to the ancient Roman city of Jerash. Really fascinating place. At first I kept thinking, you know, I'm not interested in Rome, Roman stuff, I'll go to Rome. But it was really something else. The thing that really got me was the road. They have it's a city, you know, that's the remains of a city. But on the road itself, most of the columns are still there, lining the road. And the road, a lot of the cobblestone on the road is still intact. So it's really amazing because you're walking down and you can see the ruts where the chariots went. I mean, you can see it, and you can, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I could almost feel the Romans there, you know? I mean, it's like you're just walking down and you could almost hear what the scene might be like as that would have been in ancient, you know, when the Romans lived there, and see the people in their togas and the chariots and the vendors and the, you know, it was just, and you could, just a great experience. I really, really enjoyed that moment along with all the rest of it there, but that was a moment that really will always sit in my mind. We continued to head toward Petra, and we went to the Dead Sea. Now that is an experience in itself if you've never been in the Dead Sea. You literally walk into the water and just sit down. You could read a book. And I knew about it. I've known many people have gone there, but I'd never gone myself. So, and I'm not much of a water person. I don't really care that much to go swimming and stuff. But I thought, I got to do this. So we go to the communal bathroom, that was a little, you know, dicey. But we went there and changed into our our bathing suits. And then you have to walk a pretty decent distance down to the shoreline. And then when you get there, you know, and you're walking in, I forgot my rock shoes, which they did tell you to bring, but I forgot. So I'm in bare feet. But you walk in and, you know, you're stepping on like sheets of salt, kind of. So, you know, you walk carefully in. And I kept saying, some people were already in the water. I'm like, well, what do I do? Do I just swim or what? And I know you're not supposed to get the water in your eyes or your ears or your nose or your mouth because it's dangerous for your health. So you're thinking, how am I going to get in this water without getting any of it on my face? What if I slip? What if you know, when you normally go into a lake, you go in and you go down and you splash. Well, not in the Dead Sea. You just go in and you sit down. I mean, literally. So I just sat down and had fun. I didn't stay very long. There's not much else to do unless you did bring a book. But, you know, just the experience of going in. So we had a lot of good laughs. And then a lot of people went and put all the salted mud on them and covered themselves in black mud from head to toe. I didn't do that because I knew I'd have to go back into those showers where the water trickled out the size of my finger, and I didn't know how the heck I was going to get all that black stuff off. So I just watched them and laughed and took pictures. And then you know, take a shower because you got to get all that salt off your body. And then, you know, we kept going. But it was an experience and one worth doing. The other thing we did several times along the way is stopped in places and saw amazing mosaics. And these, again, are pretty ancient. So they were very intact and still full of color and told really great stories. So that was beautiful. The mosaics, there were several stops in several places where we could see mosaic work, which was gorgeous. And then, of course, Petra. So, you know, you all know Petra from Indiana Jones, right? That made it famous and became turned up on a lot of people's bucket lists because they said, wow, I want to go where's that? So Petra was everything and more. The thing that amazed me most is the size of it. I had no idea how large Petra is. And then learning about the civilization, because I didn't really know much about the civilization. And actually, there isn't a ton known about the civilization, but it's just amazing. The cisterns, the water, you know, the way they managed water, the carvings, just the life of the people there is just fascinating. And if it wasn't for, I think it was a Swiss guy who went in like in the 1800s and heard about this town and said, I got to figure out what the Bedouins are talking about, this hidden city, and he found Petra, we would have never known because it was covered in sand. So it's quite amazing. So our guide says to us, well, you know what, if you really want to see Petra, we need to get up at like 4 in the morning because we want to be the first in. Otherwise, there'll be thousands of tourists and so many people in all your pictures. So we said, yeah, we're game. We had been getting up really early for all these other things, and we had just come from Egypt the week before, so we were used to getting up early to avoid crowds, and it was really always worth the the morning rise. So we get up, we get ready, and we get there. The place opens at 6 a.m. So we got there for the 6 a.m. opening, and we were literally the first people online. So we were right there at the window, ready to buy our tickets. So right behind us was a videographer and his crew. So that was it. So they paid our admission and we walk in. So you walk in for quite a while. Actually, we figured that during that day we walked about 13 miles. You do a lot of walking in Petra. So you're walking in, and as you're walking in, those beautiful red walls you see are just coming closer and closer. And we saw one carving on the way in, and we're like, oh my gosh, look at that, it's amazing. You're not realizing what you're about to really see. And we kept going, and then our guide said, oh, come over here, you gotta see this. And so we all rush over, and he's pointing out, I forget what it was, it might have just been a water trough or something. And he's kind of chuckling, and we're all like, oh, this is so interesting. And then he says, turn around. And we turn around, and there's that perfect picture that you often see with the red cliffs coming down and the treasury structure, the carving of the treasury building right in the distance. And we were like, oh my gosh, we're all taking pictures, and we're the only ones there. So that was great. And we're like snapping pictures. We just couldn't believe it. And we're like, let's go. So we rushed in, and it's every bit as beautiful as the pictures show you, if not more. It's just, gosh, it brings tears to my eyes. It's a magical place. It's huge. It's intricate. It's, it's spiritual. It's just a beautiful place. And actually, it was nicer when a few tourists came in, because you could really see the size of these things. A lot of my pictures don't have a person in them, and as soon as that person went in there, you can really see the size. So we walked along inside, and our guide, this has amazed us a lot in both Egypt and Jordan, was how things like if this Petra was in America, there'd be guardrails, and there'd be guards, and there'd be places where you're not allowed to walk and you're not allowed to go, and nowhere was it like that. I mean, you could literally in Egypt sit on a column in an ancient temple and swing your legs and have a coffee. So that was a little odd for us Westerners. But then I guess, I'm like, well, I'm sure it's financial as part of it, but it's also these things have been there for thousands and thousands of years, I guess they're not as worried. But anyway, so we go with our guide, and he says, the best way to do Petra is not to do the main road in, but to climb up over the structures and then do the main road out. So we said, okay, we're game. So we climbed up, and as you climb up, there's more and more carvings that you don't see as clearly from the road, or sometimes don't see at all. And then we went into some tombs that had magnificent courts inside them. Just, I've never seen anything like it. Just gorgeous. So we hiked all along in there, and then you come to these Roman ruins in the middle of Petra, because I guess the Romans, when they figured out that the people that were living in Petra had access to the Silk Road and were collecting taxes and making tons of money from all the people coming through there, the Romans said, we want that. So they came. But the people that lived in Petra were so kind and not warrior type. So they accepted them, and they just said, okay, move in. And so there's a big Roman ruin right in the middle of Petra. And you can tell the difference, because the people that lived in Petra did everything carved into the stone and lived in caves and stuff. And then there's these big columns and a Roman road, and the whole typical Roman ruins like you would see if you went to the Colosseum or something. So that was kind of interesting. And then you start saying, where's that other building? We saw that treasury, but isn't there another building? Where's that? And they said, oh, that's here, but you have to climb 900 stairs to get to it. So anyone that wants to go, we'll sit in the restaurant down here and have a coffee, because our guide, of course, has probably done it 1,000 times, and you guys can climb the 900 stairs. So we did, and it was worth every step. That's the monastery building is up there, and that is just immense and gorgeous. And there's like a little, well, the Bedouins kind of run Petra, so there's like a little, not a village, but like shops and things up there and a little restaurant. So we relaxed and sat there and gazed at the monastery. Some people went even further up, more stairs. I didn't do that, but they went up even higher so you could see Petra from above and look down, and they could see into the valley more, which we did the next day by car. I had enough. I mean, I climbed, 3,000 or more stairs in Nepal. 900 was plenty for me. And then we came back down. And then walked out. So by the time you do all of that, you do a lot of mileage in that place, but it is amazing. And you could spend easily, 2 or 3 days in that general area exploring it. So it was great. We spent 2 days there. The rest of it, unbelievable, great experience. I mean, I'd go multiple times. It was really great. Then we went from Petra to the Red Sea, and hired a boat, which was really a lovely boat, and went out on the Red Sea to go snorkeling. Unfortunately, I didn't snorkel because it was really cold, and I'm a wimp. So I was all ready to snorkel, but we started in a place that's really quite deep, and there's not a lot to see. And then they were taking us to a place where it was going to be more available, more sea life. So I decided not to go in because they kept saying there's really nothing to see, so I let the other people be ice cold. And then the weather changed and we had to go back to shore. So I never got to snorkel in the Red Sea, so I guess I have to go back to do that. But that was really a really fun ending to the trip. And then we drove all the way back to Amman and flew home. And that's our trip to Jordan. So again, please, if you're enjoying these little destination videos, I'd love to have you subscribe, and I will keep posting them. So join us, go below and sign up. You can also see our tour, the website, so you can see the other tours that we're offering, or if any of these sound great, they're being offered again, so come with us. Thanks for watching.